everyone, welcome to Confection Kitchen. Today we're going to be making pie crust. So let's get our ingredients and get to baking. Pie crust. So pie crust has always been a daunting area for me. I never felt like I could get it quite right. I've read various blogs, tested different recipes, but I still feel like I was missing something. So with all of that research, I did come to understand how pie crust works and what are some key components of being successful in the pie crust. For any really good pie crust, you want to have a mixture of butter and shortening. Butter gives it a delicious taste, and the shortening gives it that flakiness that you really want in your pie crust. You can make an all butter pie crust, which will provide a crisp and sturdy crust, but it has very little flakiness to it. So that could be used more for like really juicy fillings or something like a galette. An all shortening crust I would not recommend because you would get all the flakiness but very little to no flavor. When you do find the right combination, you will have a wonderful, tasty, flaky pie crust. The one that I love the most is actually from the Julia Child's Baking with Julia cookbook. So far it's been my favorite in my pie journey. It has a really great blend of butter and shortening, and it is really easy to mix together. This recipe is a larger one, but you can always have the recipe or quarter it. I personally love to make a lot of pie crust, especially in the fall, because I will be using it for the holidays. So pie crust freezes really well, and it can be easily defrosted if you need it. So we're gonna go over the items that you will need today. So this pie crust can be made by hand or in a mixer or a food processor. Today I will be making it by hand, but I will leave the how to do it in a mixer or a processor in the written recipe. So let's get to the pie crust. The first thing that you will want to do is measure out 5 1/4 cup of flour, making sure to level each time. You will need 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, and then you will whisk this together in a large bowl. We'll then add 3/4 cups of cold unsalted butter. I put my butter in the freezer about 10 minutes before I start my crust to ensure that it stays cold. And then you want to cut it into small pieces. Use a pastry blender to mix the butter into the flour until it looks like coarse crumbs. You don't want too big of pieces in this, so make sure to try to get all the bits. Then add 1 3/4 cup of solid chilled vegetable shortening. You want to break it up before you add to the butter flour mixture. Again, working with the pastry blender, mix together until you get small clumps. I use my hands at the very end to ensure I don't have any big pieces. Now slowly add 1 cup of ice water. I add ice to my 1 cup of water and use a 1/4 measuring cup to add into the mixture until it makes 1 cup. And use a wooden spoon to incorporate it. Once your dough can stick together, when pressed lightly, it should be ready. It is better to add too much liquid for a crust than not enough. If too little, the crust will be dry and difficult to roll. Once you have your dough at the right consistency, turn the dough on a lightly floured work surface. Don't overwork it, but get it just enough to make it a smooth ball. You will then cut the dough into quarters and roll each quarter out to a small round and wrap in plastic. It is now ready to be used. If you want to freeze, put your wrapped crust in a Ziploc bag, label and date it, and it will last for 1 month in the freezer or 1 week in the fridge. Now you're ready to use your pie crust however you want to use it. This pie crust will be used for apple pie hand pies, and the rest of it will be used for later for Thanksgiving or Christmas. But however you want to use it, I'm sure it's going to be delicious. And thank you again for watching.